Hello, I'm Valerie Beauchamp. I'm a Director of Human Experience Strategy, and I have been spending the last 3 days for the Starcom China Yangtze study up here in Hebei province. We started in Shijiazhuang. We are staying in Dingzhou County, and today we went out to Dongting Town, Dongting. And Jeffrey asked us to put together our thoughts of what we've experienced so far. So I wrote down some notes. And one of the things that I think is most interesting about this experience is that I think for those of us who work in this industry, we spend most of our time in Tier 1 cities. We're in Beijing or Shanghai or Guangzhou. And as a result, I think sometimes it gets too easy to kind of think of lower tiers in an isolated box, right? And to believe or have the perception that everyone who lives in a lower tier city, all of the people here, are striving for or they want to be just like people who live in Tier 1 cities. And that's not really the case. And to a certain extent, when you make that assumption, when we think about ourselves as marketers, you make a mistake in terms of how and what you need to do to connect with these people. And I was thinking that while there are some people in lower tiers that we have met even, that are striving or hoping to achieve a lifestyle similar to someone in a Tier 1 city, there are a lot of people that are really very happy with the simplicity of their life here. And what that means for us and what that means for our brands is that we really need to be thinking about creating very distinct experiences that are based on capturing the life that they lead in lower tiers that they enjoy. We have always known that you can't paint China with one brush. And we've gotten very good about doing things in our work to address regional differences. Knowing that in the south of China, local television stations tend to perform better than national stations, right? And making sure that we make those adjustments in our plans. And I think we need to be doing that in the experiences that we create for consumers here too. Because there are an enormous number of them that love and value their life, even if it seems simple to people who come from a Tier 1 city. I also thought that one of the really interesting things about youth in China, and lower tiers in China, is we talked a little bit about how their lens is all digital, and everything else around them is noise. TV, radio, cinema, out of home. Even if those are things that they come into contact with, it's noise for them. It all starts with digital. And I think that that's a really telling thing when we start to think about how we traditionally rely on television and the spill of television to reach people in lower tiers. And if we really want to make an impact with youth, we have to really start leveraging digital and some of the unique dynamics there. And the last thing that's been most interesting to me has been the in-store experience. The lower you go in tiers, the more chaotic the in-store experience is, and the more fragmented it is. So people are not going to one store to buy everything because the shops are smaller, they're more crowded, so they have multiple stops where they buy their household care, where they buy their personal hygiene or their beauty and grooming products, where they buy their food. Those things are all different. And a lot of times, many of our clients, especially fast-moving consumer goods, talk about the in-store experience and how critical that is to making the final decision. And I think about the fact that the in-store experience is insane here. And because of that, we have to do more heavy lifting before they get to the store. And that is a different dynamic for the lower tiers, and something that we need to start thinking about addressing, because we cannot rely on in-store to have as much impact in the lower tiers as I think it does for us in some of the upper tiers. Um, so those are sort of my thoughts for my first, I guess, 3 days in the lower tiers. And we'll come back to you after our final day tomorrow. Thanks.